It's a fact you're not here. You ain't even real, but you still bring me fear. You make my bones so tired that my soul stands up. But now I'm starting to need to bleed to fill this cup. It's like I'm starting to need to bleed to fill this cup. Oh.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to The Working Wing, the podcast where every week we look at the news of the world and the nation from our own unique working leftist perspective. And we also talk about Succession.
It's a temporary fix, but honestly, we started this show starting off as like an analyzing show about politics to talk about politics mainly.
Yes.
And we found that we still end up doing that with a show like
we still got the passion for it. But anyways, my name is Tim Schultz, and joining me as always, my dear friend, longtime debate partner, and a man who is grinning like he just caught a fly ball at Yankee Stadium, Killian Collins.
Oh, so good to see you, Tim. So good to see you smoking cigarettes as Ho Chi Minh would be smoking them nonstop and enjoying a lucky strike if he had them.
Just behind the scenes, I've had kind of that. You work third shift as well, Kelly. You know how sometimes your sleep schedule will just randomly crash out on you.
Yeah.
While working third shift. So I've had maybe 5 hours of sleep over the past 2 days. So I am mostly running on cigarettes and coffee and my excitement to talk about Succession.
Damn, I'm sad we didn't do this earlier. I had to go through a whole little.
I just got off of work 45 minutes ago. So.
Oh yeah, you got off. No, I actually had a little bit of time, and I've been time crunched. Well, actually, Easter was a terrible time for me to crunch things together in terms of time. There's a bunch of things I'm behind on. I'll talk to you about a few of those things later, Tim. But I'm also on at least with third shifts. I am definitely throwing my schedule around. Yesterday I had to wait for a plumber to come around at 1 in the morning. I'm sorry, one in the afternoon.
Oh,
which is 1 in the which is 1 in the morning for us.
Yes.
And it's just hard to get anything done. I actually just started running. Yesterday I actually did. I want to get back on this, and it's just starting to be really nice in Wisconsin right now. So
beautiful weather the past couple days.
Oh my God, so gorgeous. And it's I'm getting out there before anyone's out there, so I don't have to really embarrass myself too much. And I'm still not having to face the pain of being out there in the sun, and which to us is third shift. It's a curse, and also you need it. Yeah, we're vampires now. We are the undead. We are the night.
I have an orange in my lunch every day, and I feel like that helps. I know a lot of people take vitamin C supplements.
Yep, I definitely take. If I actually don't take vitamin D supplements, I notice a big difference. And honestly, I have to get more because I do notice a difference anyway with just trying to get shit done, with just trying to get anything done. But that's just what it is. But it still is not going to stop us from talking about Succession and some of the current events. Now,
yeah, we have to keep our toe in the water of current events.
Yes.
And to that end, we decided we're going to talk about the leak case, which it feels broke and then completely unfolded and is now resolved, all within the course of the past 5 days.
Right. It's a very interesting type of leak, and I feel like when mainstream media was mainly focusing on, because what I found so strange about this is that it's this big leak of all these top secret documents, the most classified you can get.
Yes,
just coming out out.
Yeah, and most reports, yeah. So these started leaking on Discord. I think I've seen some reports saying that they actually started leaking as far back as in February, and throughout March they were posted.
Yeah.
And then the story itself really broke big over the weekend.
Yeah.
And so on Monday everyone was talking about it.
Well, didn't someone send something to CNN? They just kind of
I think and it's what
right.
Honestly, one of the funniest things to me about all this coverage is just realizing that no one in mainstream media knows what the fuck Discord is or how it works, because it's just every story was just oh, these were posted on Discord, and it's if you know anything about how Discord works, that doesn't really mean anything. Was this a chat room with like 5 people in it? Was this a massive server with like 15,000 users? Like it could be either of those things.
Right.
So
yeah, it is definitely showing that the ass of it kind of reminds me of like when those senators years ago were like, well, I mean, it was like doing the like it was Facebook regulations, I think in like 2017, and like the people asking the questions about it like could clearly had clearly had never used Facebook in their lives.
yeah,
Like, they didn't understand what it was at all. And it's one of the big problems about, well, I mean, it's a big problem with this media reporting on it too. I found it to be interesting because I would find that like, CNN and MSNBC and all these major outlets are reporting on this, but their focus seemed to primarily be much like how the Catholic Church, or much like how the archdiocese works, is they're not focused on the problem itself. They're focused on how do people find out about this.
Yeah. So the actual I think a lot of no one that it was revealed that we were spying on, it wasn't known that like Edward Snowden had already revealed that we were heavily spying on Israel
God.
and South Korea and Egypt and all those places.
But it doesn't surprise me.
I just don't like to remind. Like that's kind of the thing of like, oh yeah, South Korea and Israel know that we're spying on them. It's just kind of annoying to get it shoved in their face that their biggest international ally is all up in their shit like that.
Yeah.
Like was Zelensky thrilled to know that the U.S. is maintaining hour to hour surveillance about what he's up to and who he's talking to at all hours of the day? Probably not. He probably figured it was happening, but to have it really rubbed in your face like that.
Well, with everything he's going, with the conditions he's facing, especially, it's like, it's not but it's also like it's their only out, and it's you expect these type of things. Like you knew America was doing this to Merkel. Why wouldn't they do it to Olaf Scholz? Why wouldn't they? And literally, it's like for all these leaks, it's like America has faced no consequences whatsoever. Even with the leaks of the past, even with the Snowden and the Chelsea Manning leaks.
Well, it's because it's like. What is Israel going to do? We are Israel's biggest out. We are the reason
we're basically
why Israel is.
we're basically Israel.
What's Israel? What's South Korea going to do? We maintain the DMZ that keeps North Korea from just straight up invading them. South Korea can't really tell us to fuck off.
I mean, even if they did, I don't think America would want to fuck off. I don't think America would.
No, we wouldn't. No.
It is. I mean, right. It's just the situation. It's America's foothold, same as Israel. It's America's foothold there.
Yeah.
It's America. There's been too much investment. There's been too much money spent. There's been too much blood spilled that our leaders of this country would allow that to happen. I would certainly. I mean, I think differently, but hey, we're not. That's why we're not in charge, Tim.
Yeah, we are not. We are not a part of the deep state military industrial intelligence complex, and that is why. Do you want to just go through some of the big headlines of what was actually revealed in these leaks?
Yeah. Why don't you start? I see you got an article ready ups there. So why don't you start us off?
So all right. So the big basically, I think pretty much everything that was in the leaks involved Ukraine in some way, except for the Israel stuff. The Israel stuff is weird, but we'll get to that.
And that was no big surprise either.
We are actively spying on Zelensky. We have deeply penetrated Russian military planning. Biggest takeaways there, way more soldiers on both sides have died than previously thought.
Yep.
Ukraine is running out of ammo.
Oh yeah,
which is
there was another one that British that didn't the UK send British commandos.
Yeah, there's reports that have been disputed that I think it was France. France is thought to have sent special ops teams there, but of course Paris is denying that.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's honestly what with most of these allegations, if they're damning enough, a country's just gonna
right, Ukraine has basically come out and said, oh no, we're not running out of ammo. That's bullshit.
Dude, for sure. I mean, they have to. I mean, right,
they have to.
It's they can't not project that, but it's things. I mean, but they are it is funny because a lot of these leaks are kind of showing that, like, well, yeah, they are kind of showing with things the way of the world, like a little bit of that mask being exposed of like, here's the current situation on the ground, especially in a war where it's really hard to get like what the honest truth is when both sides are so deeply invested in an outcome where they're going to like propagandize society.
Yeah, and the propaganda machine is so much more advanced than it was. Even, I mean, I feel like it's even more stark than it was like during the height of like Iraq, Afghanistan.
Oh, certainly.
Even like 20 years ago, you know.
Oh, certainly. Like, and it was certainly pretty aggressive back then. And it's like
yeah, and like but like it's not even like back then. It was like every major outlet had their embedded person to like report propaganda from like the U.S. side and shit. But now it's just like any fucking like person, any person with an internet connection anywhere in Eastern Europe can be a like on the spot reporter.
Well, I mean, you could say
anybody in like an apartment in Manhattan can also be a quote unquote like on the spot reporter.
Yeah, like they're talking on the ground in Ukraine when they're like reporting on what other people are reporting on the ground there, and it's just it ends up being like a propaganda cycle where like whatever side a person is supporting is looking at the people on whatever side of the ground that they're more supporting and using that to fuel what their machine is going at, and it makes for a very difficult situation to analyze. I mean, it makes it difficult just for your citizens to know what the fuck is actually going on. Like it's a very different situation than like what it was in Vietnam. Granted, you don't have American troops on the ground with this, but like in Vietnam, or even just with Vietnam and Iraq and stuff, like the media coverage of like what was going on in Vietnam, like if you talk to anyone from that era, they can tell you that, oh no, I remember when this battle happened. I remember because my brother was in that battle and we were focused on like where he was and stuff. Or I remember the battle, like, Hill 364, like any of these things, any of these major events, because there was massive media coverage on it because people wanted to know where the hell their kids were, where the hell their family was. Like they wanted to know what was going on with these battles. And I think with Iraq, they learned that, well, we kind of want to keep this on the DL unless there's
by the time Iraq came around. I think this kind of started with Desert Storm 1, but like the government learned that like, oh, actually if we give them more access, that's actually a way of like funneling the propaganda along the lines that we want. So
right, but it's also just like because whenever like, because it's happened in Iraq and Afghanistan too, like you wouldn't hear about shit for like months to a couple of years, and that's just like, oh, all of a sudden it's like, well, the Taliban have all this ground. Yeah, well, you know what, we kind of gave this up, like, well, we couldn't quite keep this, and it's just but there's no coverage of what the fuck's going on during that.
Yeah,
it's like all of a sudden it's just gone, and then you hear about a big push, you hear all about that, but you don't hear anything about like what the latter parts of it are. Like you don't hear any of this. It's obvious, like it is kind of like Germany in World War II, where it's saying like, oh no, everything's victory. That setback, that was actually a victory though. Like that's because they needed to keep their people just ratatouting this shit.
Yeah.
And
yeah. So that's it. Kind of, I feel like that's kind of one of the reasons why this story got so much wide coverage, is just like, oh, new information about what's going on over there.
Mm-hmm.
Other interesting things, like I feel like the global military industrial complex is doing very well off of this, since like two of these leaks were about like South Korea wants to get in on selling ammo to Ukraine, even though they have a law specifically forbidding selling ammo to countries actively involved in lethal conflicts. So there was like a whole scheme where they were going to sell huge shipments of ammo to Poland, who would then sell it on to the Ukrainians. Egypt apparently wants to. They were trying to figure out if there was any way they could start selling ammo to Russia without pissing off the United States.
Yeah, and it's a funny thing too. Another thing around the world, I know we didn't mention this before the show. But Macron talking to Xi and then like saying some things in the media that were a little concerning, but I don't quite believe him, where he's saying that like I'm not going to cut my ties with China, and I'm just kind of wondering that.
Yeah, Macron's been kind of on it.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of wondering, like, it's just like, because it's like, well, yeah, you're deeply, deeply unpopular right now. There's still massive riots and protests going on right now. Also, I got to give a big shout out to the protesters out there in France, occupying the Blackwater building. Not Blackwater, they're Black Rock. God bless you.
Yeah.
God love you. Love you, comrades. I don't care what political colors you are. You're occupying those fucks. You are occupying the right buildings. All right. You need like those motherfuckers should not have a damn thing. And those are the real motherfuckers trying to like, well, they're trying to buy us Americans out of real estate. So we can never buy a home. Basically, we can never afford a home. Yes. So we can run for these pieces of shit the rest of our lives. So yes, I will say to the French, you keep fighting for that. And remember, guys, it's your life. To many Americans, us thinking that like, oh, like we're 2 extra years, no big deal. But no, many of us are wrong. The French, you are completely right in saying that, no, fuck that. That's 2 years of my life. I'm not going to give that to just working again. I'm not going to keep giving that to the fucking man to just like have to like hope to still retire.
Yeah.
Fuck that. And yeah, you should shove that up Macron's ass. Anyway, Tim, I'm sorry I got into that.
No. Shove it up Macron's ass.
I thought of that.
BlackRock. You are absolutely correct about all of that. So I think we should cover just who they arrested last night. But the other like actual like thing to come out of this leak was that Mossad was behind, like they said Mossad was like actively trying to like stoke those massive protests in Israel that happened last month over Netanyahu basically wanted to like place direct control of the judiciary in his hands.
Mm-hmm.
Even though because he's actively being investigated for corruption, Trump style. Yeah. And like when he came back into the government, they were like, all right, yeah, we do kind of need judicial reforms, but like you, Netanyahu, you have to promise that you're not going to be like a part of those judicial reforms. And he was like, yeah, sure, I won't be a part of that. And then he was. Yeah. And apparently Mossad was like trying to stoke those protests, which surprised me because like, you know, Netanyahu is a hard right fucking guy who wants to kill lots of Palestinians. And when I think of Mossad, I think of like, oh yeah, they're like presumably they are aligned with Netanyahu on wanting to like kill lots more Palestinians. So I'm curious as to why they want to get rid of him.
This sounds like kind of like a ruling class elite struggle. Like, you know, how there's different factions within these parties that may seem on the surface to be aligned, but deep on the underneath, it is not. It is not what it seems.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I understand the nuances of Israeli politics here.
It's a complicated issue. All I really know is like I love the Palestinians and I'm sticking by them. And
absolutely.
I feel bad about them. You know, continuing to endure occupation but essentially, and I have to say, shame on the people who were like moving into their houses saying that like, well, fuck it, if someone else would have done it, like, you know, if I didn't do it, someone else would have. I'm like, well, you guys are part of the fucking problem. You guys are very problematic with that. Yeah. It's like I think like I want a place for Jews to be safe too, but I think you know, the Jewish people are a lot safer when they're kind and considerate to their neighbors. I think that just is a good method to have for all people. And I don't think the Jewish people should be associated with, you know, occupying other people's land. I think it's a bad fucking look. And I don't agree with it. And I think overall that the state of Israel could do better than that.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So then yesterday they arrested a guy, Jack Teixeira. So I'm going to choose to pronounce that name. A 21-year-old National Guardsman from Massachusetts. And he was the one they arrested for like being behind these leaks, which I mean, in one way, kind of just all right. Put the story to rest. The guy is going to be in federal prison for the rest of his life. Presumably.
They're going to torture him.
But like, I have questions. You know, it still kind of raises questions of like these documents, according to most sources, seem to have been produced by like the intelligence branch of the Office of the Chief of Staffs. So, like, the big question is, how the fuck does a 21-year-old National Guardsman get access to classified documents from the Chief of Staff's office?
Could we have a patsy on our hands instead?
Possibly, but like, I don't know. I mean, I get you want to go to like the conspiratorial end of things, but I don't know. It's interesting. Like, I don't really see how like the government gains by. I don't really see who really gains from this, honestly.
Well, I wouldn't know how it helps this kid either, unless this kid is just like kind of like the same motivation as Snowden and Chelsea Manning.
I mean,
it's
no, I don't think this guy is a Chelsea Manning or Edward Snowden type.
Yeah,
like he seems like kind of like a loner weirdo gun nut who like fell into the military recruiting pipeline right out of college or right out of high school, which. It's weird.
I mean, that's something to be said too, and it's also, I mean, that's also the thing though, is it's like how would he, like, coming from that humble of a background, be able to like get his hands on like that sensitive information?
Yeah,
unless and I'm not trying to say that. Again, that's all this is speculation. All this is speculation, and I'll fully acknowledge it. I'm not trying to say any of this is true or anything, but it just seems like there would have been someone else on the higher top that might have gotten this, maybe not to like be released, but just had maybe trusted this person with information they should not have trusted them with.
Well, like the way what the actual leaks were like photographs of like crumpled papers.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know, maybe it might have just been like this kid emptied a trash can while doing custodial duty on base or something, and decided to flex for his fucking gaming group on Discord.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, it's a possibility, Tim. It is definitely a possibility. It could be as simple as like this kid, because like we don't even know his like what his political motivations are entirely. I mean, most of these leaks are just about about Ukraine, and it's not like a lot of these things that have already been reported on are things that I've already heard talked about. I've heard, like, I've known about like Ukraine is running out of ammo majorly, because like I mean that's kind of been that's a thing that's like kind of been like snuck around like among Ukrainians, is that like Zelensky's a little fucking worried because it's a major artillery battle, especially in Bakhmut, and like one side has a lot more artillery they're willing to go through with, and as far as we know, there's other countries willing to supply them to make up for what they're going through. So it's a little lopsided right now.
Yeah.
And that type of thing might be speculated before, or even just like the leaks of like, yes, we're spying on Germany, yes, we're spying on Zelensky, and like it's kind of, we're spying on South Korea. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, like, why wouldn't we spy on these like allies that are so small, but are still like, they're small enough not to like retaliate back for us knowing everything they're doing and saying.
Yeah.
They're far too dependent, and they're far too scared to live a world without trading with the US.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't even know. We'll see. I don't suspect, like Biden said, he's concerned that he's concerned about how the leak happened, but he was like, nothing in here is really that important, is what Biden said. He's like, yeah. I don't think anything that got leaked is anything too massive.
Well, there was really nothing about him.
No, that's true too. Yeah.
So I mean, I bet you it would have been a different story if there was like, oh, there's another Hunter laptop out there, and like, yeah, this is the one that like has all the shit that you like, whatever the fuck he was up to. Like maybe I ever want to use that issue is just promoting, going like, hey, like, these NEPA babies, like, get whatever the fuck they want. Can we apply just like, getting people help for like, mental illness, for drug addiction, for isolation, like like all of these things where it's just like, okay, like if you want, hey, conservatives, if you guys want to like actually like, save all the homeless vets, you guys want to save all those people, we can just end homelessness altogether. And all the vets will be fine. And all the vets will be fine. Well, that's the only way we know how to save all the vets. It's the only way we know how to save all the homeless vets. You don't care about the homeless vets? You guys don't want to do that? You guys don't care about the homeless vets? That's really interesting. It's really interesting how we're spending more money on these wars and we're still not housing all these vets. We have empty houses. I don't know. That's my argument for it, at least. If it's like we're going to let Joe Biden off for this, or if Eric Trump and Donald Jr. are going to do whatever the fuck they want to, which I'm sure they're doing, like and getting away with fully, then like, okay, can we just like offer help to people who have gone down the wrong path? That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Like it's not trying to say like we have to set their life on, like the taxpayer has to set their life on track. It's I mean, yeah, we're trying to.
I kind of think that the taxpayer should. I think the government should be in the business of setting people's lives on track.
Yeah, of eradicating poverty and lifting people
right.
out. And
that's something. Yeah, that's something that like 2020 taught us, that like no conservative will ever admit that like the enhanced unemployment benefits led to like the single biggest reduction in American poverty in 30 years, and it was just as simple as give everybody some money every month, and boom, poverty gone. American savings like rose drastically for the first time in decades because the enhanced unemployment benefits was we're paying people at a higher level than their fucking like shitty minimum wage service jobs were.
Child tax credit.
Credit
for every kid you get, you almost you fucking have child poverty, and then they just end it. And then they just fucking end it. They're like, hey, that was cool, so we're just done with that.
Yep. And a whole bunch of other stuff like enhanced Medicaid is going away soon. Enhanced SNAP benefits are going away soon.
Even though
we're
I feel
about
like
to fall off a poverty cliff here in this country.
One of the biggest losses we had in 2020 is just not keeping Medicare for all on the table during a pandemic. That was the strongest bartering card that we had in the last. I don't know when to think of, like since at least the 90s, since at least like the Clintons were like trying to promote it. Yeah. But that would have been the best bartering card we had, and people fell silent because we wanted a candidate that could beat Donald Trump rather than talk about like Medicare for all, which honestly I feel like would have like just helped Biden more, but Biden could win without it. And I think that was a huge problem. If Biden would have promised Medicare for all, shit, I would have voted for him. I would have forgiven the fuck shit. Like I would have forgiven the fuck shit, but like
no, that is true. Like yeah, Medicare for all would do so much to eradicate his like decades long track record of being on the wrong side of pretty much every fucking social issue.
Yeah, and leaving Afghanistan didn't do what he thought it would. The dumb conservatives still thought it was like all his idea, even though it was Trump's fucking
Trump started. Trump.
Which I'll give him
with Afghanistan withdrawal.
Which I'll give him credit for that. It's like even though it was sloppy, it's like, well, I'm glad we got the fuck out of there. Like I'll give any president credit for that, even though like the withdrawal was horrible. But it's like the withdrawal was gonna be horrible anyway. Us entering in there was horrible. Like there was no purpose for it besides just to like start selling opium and like keep the area stabilized.
Trump was very much like, all right, let's just get some signatures on some bullshit documents, and then we can talk about what a foreign policy genius I am.
Yes, and how much I help the veterans, right?
Yeah, like that deal that Jared Kushner struck between Israel and Palestine fell apart like almost immediately.
Yes,
but they were able to pump some headlines out there for a minute.
To visit North Korea, not do anything about the tension and just and then like fuck off. Like it's like, okay, well,
all right. Speaking of fuck off. All right, I want to pivot away.
Good transition, Tim.
So, I've been trying to like write summaries of these Succession episodes, and this is the Succession episode this week where spoilers for this week's episode of Succession.
Spoilers, majorly.
Although if you've managed to avoid it, congratulations. But this is the episode where Logan Roy fucked off this mortal coil.
I was gonna
good riddance.
Oh man, I'm so sad. No, I am.
I mean, I'm sad. I am sad to lose Brian Cox as an actor on my television every week. Logan Roy himself, like the answer to Roman's question was yes. yes, Logan Roy is a cunt. So actually, last week when we talked about Succession, I
Mhm.
think one of the last things we said, like we raised the idea of like Logan is Logan gonna die in this season, and I think I said maybe Carrie will poison him, and you know what, Killian? Until they say otherwise, I'm gonna fucking assume that I nailed that.
Well, yeah, Tim. And we can get into that a little bit
We
more
can
as the
get
book
into that.
goes.
We'll get into that more. But like, yeah. So this episode opens with like, yeah, it's Logan talking to Roman. Carrie is just like she's got her big glasses on, looking all steely and
Well,
um
yeah, she's looking like a cold bitch, like how she
yeah.
should.
We go to the wedding. We get more time with Willa's mom, who is just I fucking love Willa's mom.
Oh God, such a sweet
Willa's mom
woman.
is like one of my new favorite characters in this show. She's just buttering up her daughter's rich ass husband.
Well, especially with that little like comment, because like Connor Roy, like Connor Roy briefly mentions like, well, they say that Charles Dickens forgets that Scrooge was actually a wealth creator, and I'm
And
like,
she's like really convenient. They don't mention that, isn't it? And he's like, yeah, it is.
I don't know how much
just,
of a wealth creator he is when he's got like one dude employed. Like,
Cratchit. Yeah, no, he was.
yeah. But Connor was doing his thing with her. He was doing his Connor was doing his main thing. One of my favorite things he does is being extremely rich person, high strung. I love the scenes with Connor freaking out at catering crews, and
him freaking out at catering crews is a beat we've hit before in this show.
Mm-hmm.
This time when he's like being so fucking extra about the cake, get some more explanation, some heartbreaking explanation later on.
Yeah.
Man, Connor.
Good stuff. But I should mention, yeah, Connor is having his wedding and it's on a yacht. And Roman, when he's on his way there, he's on the phone with Logan.
He's told that he has to fire Jerry.
And I liked it. And it's funny, he's told he has to fire Jerry, and Roman was like, what? Like, you're not gonna be at Connor's wedding. And Logan is so just nonchalant, like, oh yeah, we got him. Like what
Napoleon letters. It was
what
like
do we get him? Yeah,
Napoleon letters, yeah.
Like right, which is like honestly, I'm sure to like some. I mean, to
I'm sure it was valued at like
$100,000,
like a lovely high value fucking gift. I'm sure Connor, little Napoleon Connor. I mean, he would tell himself like, "Oh yeah, that's nice," but Connor is such a deeply broken person.
Yes, I mean that's why he had to buy a $500,000 fake Napoleon dick that's that's like preserved, and he wasted all this money on that. Like that type of person to do that. But I just thought it was funny because like Carrie knew what he actually gave him more than Logan did.
Yeah.
And Logan asked him to like, hey, I need you to fire Jerry. And Roman's like, what the fuck? Like, over what? Like, over what? What am I going to tell her? And he's like, I just don't like how she handled the whole Department of Justice situation. And I was kind of scratching my head because I was like, dude, she fucking like only helped. Like she made it work. Like she saved your ass. Like why are you going to fire her? Is because she's too threatening? Is it like, is there something?
I think it's a combination of the dick pics thing. I think it is really the dick that was in the previously on thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the dick pics. I think it was her and Hugo laughing at Carrie's audition tape last week.
Yeah.
I feel like there was also a comment there where she was talking about like what it would do for the Swede. What's his fucking name?
Yep.
Yeah, because she made that comment of like, I don't know about the optics of you appearing in a picture if you would want that. And Logan like snapped at her of like, are you fucking trying on a Viking hat already, Jerry? Like,
yeah.
There was some distrust there, but the fact that he makes Roman do it is just like one last like I think we always go back to that quote from last season from the kid's mother from Caroline being like, Logan never met an animal he didn't want to kick to see if it would come back to him, and this is just one final kick. One final time kicking Roman to see if he would come back to him.
Yeah. Yep. Complete with you're not dicking me around, were you? You're not like, these promises you made. You're not like just trying to fuck me around, are you? And
Yeah.
So Roman has to like leave and like prepare to tell Jerry she's fired. And then like Tom meets Logan at the airport.
Yes. And so on my rewatch, when I was like actually taking notes, it's interesting, like pretty much because this is the last time we really see Logan alive, right?
Getting on the plane.
Getting on the plane. And Tom and Logan's conversation is pretty much entirely violence, death, murder illusions. We're gonna push Sid off. Yeah, we're gonna push Sid off the cliff. We're gonna hang a noose around Jerry. We're gonna hang a noose called Cruises around Jerry and hang her out to dry. Like it's death and murder and violence. Just another day for Logan Roy.
Mm-hmm.
Like this was not a man who like he went out swinging. He went out with a knife in his hand, fucking shadow fighting the world.
A person definitely still stabbing, not knowing how hurt they are.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And then the rest of the episode, I feel like we're kind of following. I mean, we're switching a couple times, but like right after that part, and we see the intro, we're mainly focusing on Roman and Jerry, and Roman having his look written all over his face when he goes up to her, and Jerry knows something is up right away.
Because Roman has no poker face.
Right, at all. And she, because what she knows right away, it's that like Roman, like, and that's the thing, I gotta give Kieran Culkin the credit for like for doing this, because it's like, yes, like he's being the actor where it's he's showing, not telling, where like his body language, the way his shoulders are positioned, the way he's making darty eye contact at her, where it's like
he can't bring himself to look directly at her.
Mm-hmm.
He's
very unlike
swearing.
him.
He's swearing like he's just dropping out F-bombs that even like more than Roman usually does.
Yep.
Like,
yep. And he wasn't doing like, and Jerry even pointed out, it's like, you're not doing these little like witty comeback things. Like you're not doing the little witty insult. What's wrong with you? Like you're not acting like you're like the boss's son and no one can touch you. What's up your sleeve right now? Like what's with you? Like and like Roman tries, and of course this is like another like another performance similar to Nicholas Braun's or Greg's character of Greg, kind of like his performance where he's trying to like push out that bad news, but he cannot get these words out the right way.
Yeah.
And the person on the other side, Jerry and Carrie, are both killers. they can see that someone's trying to eye them up as a piece of meat. They know what direction they're going in, and they know how to stop them.
Yeah.
They know how to like completely like stop them in their tracks. And Roman's stumbling out that, maybe there should be that kind of separation in a very Succession way of not directly saying you're fired, which would be way easier. It would be way easier and way more convenient to
he's
say
like,
you're fired.
He's like, no, I'm just saying, you're definitely out. And, we're going to shove your mouth so fucking full of gold, you're not going to be able to say anything about it. Like,
right. Trying to like sugarcoat all this shit.
Right.
Trying to make
but
that
also,
easier.
And it's interesting because it's like, Jerry even says as she's leaving, this is fine. This is nothing. And you can clearly see it's not true. She is devastated by this. But it's also like her actual words are correct, because Logan is fucking dead and Jerry's not going anywhere.
It's irrelevant. It is irrelevant. Like him trying to meek that out, which is so funny thinking about. Roman made himself a very powerful enemy that has a lot of leverage on him.
Right. We'll get more into just how quickly all of that fighting starts. And there's like a certain moment I want to highlight like later on in the episode. And then after that is when we see Khan freaking out about the cake, and we learn more about that later. And then we see Roman go to make his phone call where he leaves that voicemail for his dad.
Mm-hmm.
And I found this phone call so interesting because it's just like the question, are you a cunt? And it's like, I feel like that's the question Roman is asking his dad, but I feel like in a big way that's also the question that Roman constantly has to ask about himself.
Yep.
Of like, am I a cunt? How much of a cunt am I? And it's kind of the question that we're always asking as an audience about Roman. Of like, Kieran Culkin has got this like weird, fascinating, fun to watch like energy about him that you can never quite take your eye off of, but like also just how much of a cunt are you as a character?
Are you asking yourself this question? And
Yeah.
are you worthy? Are you actually worthy of redemption? Like, are you willing to go through with it too? And the show's very good at playing off of that. But yeah, leaves him that nasty ass voicemail. Basically, that should just be a therapy session to himself.
Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not sure what happens right after that, Tim. Do we go back to
we
go back to the siblings? Go back to Kendall?
I think we touch in with Greg briefly. I have a note about like Greg is a pervert, which I don't know if you've caught on this. I found it on the Succession subreddit when I was like browsing on Sunday night. But apparently Nicholas Hoult, the guy who plays Greg,
Nicholas Brown.
What's the actor's name who played Nicholas
Brown, I think. Or Nicholas Braun.
Yeah, Nicholas Braun.
Yeah.
He's 35 years old. Apparently he has a taste for 16 to 18-year-old girls. The actor in real life. Those are the reports that have been floating around.
Fuck, really?
About him. Yeah. There have been some accusations recently.
Can't support anyone nice. No, like you can't have anything nice nowadays, Tim.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah.
Those are I hope they're just rumors. I hope someone's just trying to like.
There's definitely pictures of him partying at Coachella with like a 16-year-old on his shoulders.
Jesus, why the fuck are six? I don't know. Maybe that's like, hey, we don't know nothing. I haven't seen. That's the only evidence. Then I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
There's apparently apparently his predilection for like 18-year-olds and now allegedly younger has been well known on like the New York social dating scene for quite some time now.
Oh God. Well, what you gonna do? Well, anyway,
what you gonna do? All these Greg is an inveterate pervert because we see that I think when we touch in with like the kids and like Greg is like following them and he like tries to like put a hand on Shiv's shoulder and she's like, don't fucking touch me. All of these like Greg is a pervert illusions kind of hit differently with that knowledge in mind, but also I think it just says something funny about Greg himself as a character. Just that like they're moving into this what's going to be a vicious bloody power struggle and everyone fucking hates him except Tom.
And even that is kind of precarious because
Tom would cut Greg's throat in a second if he thought it led to him being CEO of Waystar Royco.
Yeah, he would. And that's basically like the only way. And the only reason that he hasn't is because Greg has like kind of played the game a little bit once in a while. And, kind of did what happened with that intelligence leak, put some crumpled up papers in his pocket and said, I'm going to keep this for a rainy day and make sure that I'm protected no matter what. And thank God that Tom had to get a new lighter because like if he didn't have to do that, he'd have nothing on him.
Yeah. So then we follow the kids. I think Shiv is sent off to go talk to Connor, right? To tell Connor that Logan is not attending the wedding.
Yeah.
And then it happens.
Yeah. Then because then Roman gets a call from Tom,
and it's like, man. So I don't know if this is like my fate. Where this ranks in like terms of like all-time great episodes of television or all-time great episodes of Succession is like still up in the air. But like, as far as like, people, you could have like various conversations about like what the purpose of media is. But like, I think one thing a lot of people would agree on, that something great media can do is depict the human experience. And starting with this moment where he gets the call, where they get the call, anybody who has gotten that call, and I have gotten that call, just recognizes it. It was entirely, and you can tell that the people who were working on this episode knew what it was like to get that call, because they captured that feeling so well.
Yeah, I was really impressed how they didn't stray away from it. And they shouldn't have. They wouldn't fit like what Succession actually is, and what Succession actually, I feel like what it really is. It's deep character dives on his family, and nothing is more important like for that structure when like, especially with like the title of the show and everything, is how his children react to their to hearing about this, to how this news is going about, and it was a really wise decision. And hard to film to show that, because like what I expect, what you see most of the time in movies and shows is you see them getting the phone call, them dropping the phone, and then the flash forward to the funeral. And that was not.
They do that, or it's a rush to the bedside, where the person is awake and cogent enough to exchange a couple of like well-scripted moments of dialogue before passing, and that's just not how it works.
That's not, we don't get to choose that.
Not how it works.
We do not get to choose that.
Yeah.
And it was just so illuminating too, because it's like, it's these people, and it gets into their reactions of it too. Because I feel like I wanted to like take this section and I wanted to like split it up into like how each of the siblings were acting, because I want to get into like how their psychology was working with all this and like what was important to them. Because Roman's getting this news, and and Tom's trying to explain. Tom is basically trying not to say that Logan is dying. He's trying not to say that like Logan is probably going to die
right
now.
And there's an extra layer to this too, of like, man, like, because like he can't come out and say it because these people have power over him and he can't piss them off.
Yes.
So like when I got that call, my sister just said it and I had to like have my little freak out or whatever, but like Tom can't even come out and say it because he can't afford to like piss them off.
There's all these games being played.
Yeah.
There's all these games being played, and and he's trying to explain that like, well, they're trying to do CPR on him now. It's not looking good. It's not good at all. And of course, like Kendall sees like Roman reacting to this, and great job on Kieran Culkin too. Just like
the reactions, just all around fucking incredible from everyone on this show, especially the kids. All three, like
Jeremy Strong,
Jeremy Strong, Kieran Culkin, Sarah Snook, like Alan Ruck, like they all did such incredible jobs.
And Matthew McFadden too. Also,
McFadden was like, doing his goddamn thing the entire time.
And it's funny because I wanted to mention this earlier. What I was talking to a friend at work about this, and I asked him about this episode right away. I was like, "Oh, you see that Succession?" And he kind of like had like a sigh of sadness and was like, "They killed." Like it's like, I'm not sure what they're going to be able to do for the rest of the show. And I really thought the opposite, because this showcased how great of a cast you have.
Yeah, exactly. Like yes, you're taking away Brian Cox, who has been like the sun,
irreplaceable,
at the center of the Succession solar system. Yeah. Yes, but you have such an incredible bench.
Just really, like it kind of reminds me of like. Of like just whenever you see a show, like it makes you think of what am I thinking of? It makes you think of Better Call Saul, where it's like you were excited for these other performers, you were excited for these other actors who you knew about already, But then these people who you have never heard about, who brought such life and such realism to these characters, where
Yeah.
like you have tears in your eyes for these people that like you can't stand, that
Yeah.
like that you cannot stand, but you are feeling their experience. You were just empathizing at that point with
But I have never emphasized, like I have always looked on these kids with like the same disdain that I think the show wants us to feel for them.
Mhm.
But like, yeah, in this moment, they were just human beings.
Yes, very, very much so. All those differences, all the differences in class, all the wealth in the world.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter. Because like, yeah, Roman is kind of catatonic and just quivering. Kendall goes into his like entitled rich shit where he just starts like listing off, I want the best fucking heart doctor, the best fucking like air medicine specialist.
I want them to put them on. I want them to get
on
on that plane now.
Conference called into the plane right now. I want to be talking to the pilot. And it's like, no, none of that matters. In this moment, the fact that you're a billionaire means nothing because your dad is dying. And
it is ultimate denial, right? Of thinking that they could still try and cheat death and make some way to make this man, which a man that they were, in all intents and purposes, they're at war with.
Yeah.
That they honestly like, and they're always talking like, we're always talking like, let's kill dad. Like, like, hey, I'm mad at you for trying to kill dad. I'm like, oh yeah, are we all going to kill dad? We only kill dad.
Yeah, we're going to kill dad. Let's kill dad. Yeah. Let's go stab dad.
and now that he's on the floor and like completely helpless,
they're all broken by it. Yeah.
Right. Like they're all torn apart with it. And it's the fact of like, and at first it's just Roman and Kendall frantically trying to talk on this phone. Get as much information as they can, and they're going through those stages of loss. They're going through like the anger and the denial and the bartering.
Yeah.
Like with like you said, with Kendall trying to say like, I want you to call these experts and get them on here right now. I want you to make this happen right now. And it's like, well,
right.
It's like it's fucking
before
impossible.
that. So before that, they do have that scene where Roman and Kendall both try to talk to Tom's just holding the phone by
Logan's ear.
Well, and the way they film the stuff on the plane, I think is so odd but brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Where you don't see Logan's body until Shiv is talking to him. So like, I don't know about you. Until then, I wasn't sure if this was real or not.
Me too.
Like, I honestly, like, at any moment I kept expecting to like them to pan aside and you just see Logan like sitting there with like a smug smile on his face, taking in his kids freaking out.
Yeah.
Like the sadistic fucking monster that he always has been.
Yeah.
But Roman is just telling him, you're a monster, you're a winner, you're gonna beat this. Of course you're gonna beat this. Kendall, like, I can't forgive you, but yeah, it's okay. I love you. And it's like, damn, like, ain't that just like their entire fucking relationship throughout the entirety of the show just summed up there?
Yeah. Like really, and it's so hard. It is hard because it is so much said within so, because like the Kendall and Logan arc that's been arguably like one the heart of the show. It's like, the expected successor is just constantly getting snubbed and facing these obstacles.
Yeah.
And
yeah. And in a way, this parallels the very first episode of the series. And I didn't know this, but apparently the showrunners have talked about this in interviews, that there is a version of the show, like a script they actually wrote before they started filming, where Logan dies in episode 1.
It makes sense for the title. That's the problem though, is that like,
going into the season, like a lot of people were like, "Oh, Logan's gonna die," and I think the showrunner had even said, "Yeah, the title of the show is Succession."
Yeah,
and that's kind of the title of the show is kind of a promise to the audience that we have to fulfill at some point before we're done here. And they did it here in episode 3, which is kind of a wild decision.
And it didn't happen in the march in the wood, or not the march like out in the boonies when Logan and Kendall were talking to what's his name, that fucking that cat, that
Madsen.
Madsen.
Yes.
They were talking to Madsen, and like he was doing that, like, you know, that dude bro walk and thinking that Logan could handle it, and obviously he couldn't. And you know, it could have happened in a moment like that, like very, very easily. Like,
Yeah,
you know, not really expecting, like, when after Logan is like gave his big ATN tyrant speech, you know, where like he seems like a man that still has so much piss and vinegar in him that like you wouldn't expect that, like, you know, another visit to the bathroom did. And we don't even know, like, I'm not even sure if they got into the cause of death. Because like it
was scary, bro. It was scary.
It was scary. Yeah, no, that's the thing. They never announced what the cause of death was, and I think that, you know, that might play into stuff later.
Yeah. So then, yeah, he and Roman have those. Kendall then goes to get Shiv.
Yes.
And another, just like, man, this is just such a tour de force for everyone. But like, he grabs Shiv, and they're walking back up to the area where they are. And the way that Kendall is just smiling at everyone that they pass, like his dad isn't fucking dying on a plane over the ocean, is just like, it's brilliant.
Yeah, definitely that kind of Frankenstein kind of style. But
and then Sarah Snook puts down the reel that is going to win her an Emmy. Sorry, Rhea Seehorn, but I think Shiv just stole your Emmy.
Y'all deserve it. Like, you all deserve one. Like, I'm just gonna say it. Like, you guys are killing it out there. Like, you really are.
Yeah.
Like, you really, really fucking are. Like, my God. Oh.
Yeah, the way she just breaks down, it's just, man,
well, it's so real time too, because it's like, you know, it's kind of that look on like, why the fuck didn't you get me so much earlier? Like, you know, like, is this really actually happening? I have to just process like my own feelings with you. And that was kind of like that shit with Roman and like with Kendall, because they were each trying, like, Kendall was trying to process, like, that's why he had that weird, those weird last words to him of just like, well, this is the most honest thing I can think of. It's that,
yeah, I can't forgive you, but I love you. But yeah, it's okay. I love you.
Yeah. It's where it's just like, yeah, you want to go out like that. And like, and Shiv, when she was on the phone, she was still trying to talk, like, you know, she still doesn't know all the information. She still is like very conflicted. Because like partway through when she's like,
she's like, there's no excuse for, and then she just like breaks down again. Like, yeah.
Right. Like, and then like partway through, partway through, she's just like, she's not hearing a response, and she's just wondering, like, is he gone? Is it gone? Am I just talking?
There's so much of that. Is he gone? Like when Kendall is trying to talk to Frank on the phone, and like, Frank, is this man actually gone?
Yeah. Frank, like, get the pilot for me. Get the pilot.
Get the pilot. Can't get the pilot for you, Kendall.
I'm sorry, son.
Flying the plane.
Son, I'm sorry. Yeah, he's flying the plane, son. like, and you know, all these people are just stone cold killers, but it's like, it's them, and it sucks. That's what's so hard about it, is it's these like stone people having to tell these kids that, like, yeah, their boss and the most powerful man that is the reason that they're there is gone, and they're vultures on the corpse. They are going to.
They all are. It's going to be so fucking. I can't wait. For these next 7 episodes. Like,
it really brings me back to when the siblings were all talking about when they're on the yacht in the 2nd season, and they're talking about, like, well, we could all like fight over it, and they're all like, yeah, it'll be fun. And it's like, it'll be fun. Right. You say it'll be fun now until
yeah. And then they go get Connor.
Mm-hmm.
And Connor's first response is, he never liked me. He never liked me. And that's like, he never liked me. I never got a chance to get him to like me. And it's like, I feel like that's the tragedy of like Logan was a cunt.
Yeah.
He was never going to like you because Logan is not the type of person who likes people.
Yeah. And it is funny to me too, because like offhand you hear that and you're like, wow, what a selfish reaction. And then I kind of had to like take a double take. And
realize,
no,
I took that as like it's fucking honest and it's true.
It is honest.
It
is true.
Logan never liked any of his kids.
He
Logan,
spent especially Connor. Connor spent his whole life trying to just like be one of the other siblings.
Give me your attention. Give me a fraction of the consideration that you have given any of my siblings.
Yeah, treat me like I'm actually your firstborn son.
Where's my nepotistic post running a major division like you've given like every other member of this family? Like,
yes, I've gotten to live in wealth, and achieve nothing with it, but that's only because like you haven't given me your love yet, Father.
Right. Well, I feel like that's kind of the like, yeah, that's kind of the whole thing of like, yes, these failed children have told themselves that like, no, the reason why we're rich and we have the world at our hands, and the reason why we haven't done anything is because of our dad. Well, your dad's gone, kids, and
what are you gonna do with it?
Yeah, a lot of people have been like, "Oh, is this where we finally see the Roy children like come into their own?" No, it's not. It's not going to be that, because these kids are they're not serious people.
Yeah. No, and that was his last. That was his last
thing. I love you, but you are not serious people.
In a karaoke bar.
Yeah.
That he didn't want to be in.
You didn't want to fucking be in that karaoke bar.
Oh
then we get the scene where they're all like on the actual yacht. Well, first before that, I think we go back to the plane, right?
I think we go back. There's a moment between Tom and Greg that's pretty important for the future, I feel like.
Yes. Go to my office, delete my shit. Well, yeah. So they're on the plane, right? And that's when Carl is just like, you know what? I'm gonna start fucking drinking.
Have a drink, honor his memory.
Yeah, I think that's where Carrie is at. Comes in being just weird as fuck.
Smiling.
She just murdered a pan.
Tips. I don't think she did it, because mostly her position is fucked.
I know.
Right now.
I think I am the only person. I listen to all the Succession podcasts. I am the only one putting this theory out there. But
God love you, Tim. You throw that idea out there, man.
Yeah. She's just so weird as fuck. She's laughing. She's good. Laughing like she just caught a fly ball at Yankee Stadium, as Tom says. And then when Tom says, "Do we want Carrie to like deliver the statement?" and I think Frank is like, "Chuckles the clown? I think not."
Yeah. Like serious as fuck.
Which is apparently a specific reference to an old episode of the Mary Tyler Moore Show, where there was like an episode at a funeral and there was a clown who was just there laughing all weird.
Oh.
Yeah.
What an obscure reference.
What an obscure fucking reference. But yeah.
I mean, well, I loved it when Carrie walked into, and she was expecting to be like, and she was trying to be like, well, like, we're going to be a part, like, am I going to be a part of this conversation?
No.
And they're like, no, you're going to do it like up there. And I was really surprised, because I thought we were getting a moment where she like actually fights back and says, no, well, I was with him for this, and this. And like, and so I'm going to be a part of that. Like,
no, Carrie, you were just his last floozy. You were just his last piece of tail.
Like, yeah, you're
done.
Yeah, you're done. We're not going to let you do shit, because you're
I honestly don't think Carrie actually killed him, to be clear, but I am going to keep publicly trumpeting that theory.
It's a fun and juicy series, but I think this series is already, like, realistically, this series already has enough juice in it. To, like,
he was like an 85-year-old man with like several chronic health problems.
Who seems like the type of guy that would ignore his health problems.
Yes, definitely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
The man, we saw the man have a heart attack. Like, I think it was a couple years ago in show. But yeah. Like, was a brain aneurysm? Yeah. And then like collapsing during the business meeting. Yeah. He was done. So yeah, then we get Tom going into the bedroom, talking to Greg. One of the lines of the episode of like, what's at the bottom of your stocking, Greg? A dead old man who fucking hated you. Which is just like, Oh, Tom.
Well, and that's the thing is, I mean, yeah, like, and it's not even Greg like was ever really loved by Logan. Logan always I always thought like Logan thought Greg was a little shit anyway. Of like, yeah, like he's here. He's cousin Greg, cousin Craig. Everybody, yeah, hey, there he is. He's my fucking piece of shit brother's like grand shit nephew or shit son. Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, his brother's grandson. Yeah,
but basically, all Greg really has to tether himself to is just
Tom.
And Tom basically asks him for another major.
Go to his office, delete the file called logistics.
And then go to the trash and delete that again. Yeah. So to make sure it can't be restored.
Tom, they're still going to find it if they want to, but
yeah, they are.
I've watched enough true crime to know that doesn't actually delete it.
Yeah, but I just think that he hasn't watched. He should have asked what's his name? Oh, the guy who took over Cruises from Bill. Like you should ask Bill, is that like, oh, you've watched a lot of true crime, have you? Maybe you should watch a little bit himself, and you would have figured all that out. Because but honestly, I only mention that because people on the internet I've noticed or been like, no, he wants to restore those files, and I'm like, no, there's nothing good in that logistics file. Like there's nothing good he wants out there. Like, so no, I think he's telling Craig to like get rid of it and be quiet about it, which I think, of course, I think Greg is going to make copies of that shit because that's his MO. Is like, oh, Tom's gonna ask me to like, destroy incriminating evidence. I'm not gonna do that. Like, I'm gonna do it up front and like keep a file for myself. So that's definitely his kind of MO. And then Greg gets off the phone, and then someone immediately asks him at the party, like, what's going on? And you see this look in his eye.
I think Greg definitely like leaked the fact that Logan was dead.
I think so too. I think so, because he can't keep his fucking mouth shut. he can't like think of a witty explanation. God damn, I hope that shit about Nick Braun isn't true, dude. I fucking hope it's not. Like, because I'm just like, I like him as an actor too. I'm like, he plays this so fucking well.
Yeah,
a person who just doesn't know what he's doing, just like kind of fumbling about. I'm like, it's all so genuine. I'm like, fuck, like, can you just like, you're already talented. Like, can you just not with these with these girls you shouldn't be? Like, can you just fucking not, please?
And
like,
at least just keep yourself to 18-year-olds. Like, that would just be,
that's it.
Yeah, Leo does that shit all the time. He's been doing that shit for like 40 years, and no one really. People make fun of him for it, but
yeah, like, I'll make fun of him, but it's like it's just like, well, fuck, like it's not illegal. Like it's like,
yeah, age of consent and a lot of like it's not clear that he's ever actually done anything illegal. Like age of consent in a lot of states is 16. It's not like it's not clear that he's done anything like actually illegal. Just he's kind of a grubby pervert of a human being.
To be fair, Leo, I don't think is relating to these 18-year-olds and is kind of taking advantage of them with his.
Oh no, it's all messed up. It's all messed up. There's all kinds of like shitty power dynamics.
I just think they let Leo get away with it because he's better looking. I mean, that's fine. Like, whatever. It's not fine. It's fucked. It's fucked is what it is. But anyway, yeah, great. Like, we think Greg leaked what was going on, but but after that, I think we get back to
we go back to the kids. They are on the boat, and the boat. So there's a moment where like they're talking to Hugo, right? And Hugo comes in and says like I think this is the section of the show. This like next like 20 minutes of like the kids, or half an hour of the kids. Where I think in like the behind the scenes podcast, the director said they shot all of this in like a continuous take.
Yeah.
Is like just like basically like a one act play of like when the kids are like actually on the boat. And it's just brilliant. It's brilliant.
Mm-hmm. It really is. I mean, it definitely does. They keep that feeling of realness in there, which like, honestly, that's the big separation between film and theater is like, they'll actually show you those moments that are like too hard and you can't walk away from. And like, you get that feeling when you're in a room and someone's arguing and you want to leave, but like, you really kind of want to see and stay like where and you want to sit and stay and see where the conflict goes.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what we were witnessing. We were witnessing in real time these characters reacting to the conflicts coming up real time, and what their reactions are.
Yeah.
Right up front.
Yeah.
Theater at its best.
Yeah. And there's a specific moment, right, where they've been talking to Hugo. They've told him to fuck off numerous times. And then I think he comes in, like, I think Roman is saying, like, hey, they're still doing fucking CPR. Don't go saying he's, like, fucking dead. All right? It's not a very nice thing to say that he's fucking dead when we don't know he's dead. They're still doing CPR. And then Hugo comes in and says they've ceased doing CPR.
Yeah.
And then right as he says that, the boat starts to move. The boat sets sail. They are on a new voyage. A new era of their life begins with that moment. And like, man, you could talk so much. We could go on for like hours breaking down like Roman is just sitting on the floor like a little kid. Like the way he's sitting is how a little kid sits.
Yeah.
Like he was sitting the same way my 12-year-old nephew was sitting. When we had my grandma's funeral not too long ago. But like he's just on the floor, kind of like curled up into himself for this scene. Yeah, so they kind of was, as soon as they realized that no, their dad is actually gone, the ship starts sailing, a new voyage begins, and then immediately the first thing that happens is they start bickering with the corporates on the plane about who gets to write the statement. Like the moves, as soon as they all kind of internalize the fact that their dad is dead, the maneuvering starts immediately. Mm-hmm. Immediately, they are like, "All right, we're gonna write the statement though."
Maybe Frank had the most hesitation because he at least had a drink, but I think that was a bit more of a celebration drink.
Possibly.
I survived. In a way,
like Frank and Carl have been like, they've known this man for 4
drink.
Frank and Carl have been like tortured by this man for like 40 years. Yeah. And like they've made a shit ton of money off of him, but like it's also was that scene in the lodge in season 2 the first time that they've been forced to play Boar on the Floor? I kind of think it wasn't.
Highly doubt it.
I think their entire lives for like 40 years has been one big game of Boar on the Floor.
Yeah.
That has finally just ended.
I can't wait for like a later episode when like Roman or Kendall makes someone play Boar makes a bunch of people play Boar on the floor. like Roman's working at a McDonald's and he makes like fucking makes the cashiers play Boar on the floor. Starts throwing like pelting with French fries. That's a prediction I have. But yeah, no, like the vultures like hounded in right away and started just pretty much like ripping the body apart while it's warm. And they're really trying to get in on how they want this company to be structured. Since apparently, and that's part about this show, is that there was no fucking succession plan. Yes. Logan Roy was not expecting to die that day.
Right.
Was not expecting to die within the next week.
Which is crazy. I mean, but it's also a crazy thing of like I think one of the podcasts I listened to was like a financial podcast. It's like chock full of like financial reporters, and one of them was being like, I wrote a story about like corporate succession plans a couple years ago, and like Tesla does not have a succession. If Elon Musk drops dead next week, Tesla doesn't have like a succession plan in place to replace him.
Almost as if, it's like, maybe the people like working in the factories would like be able to manage where the ship should go. Like, because maybe like they know the business best, maybe not like the vultures on top who are just trying to stick close to the boss.
Somehow I don't think ATN becoming like an employee-owned shop is in the cards anytime soon.
I don't think that's in the cards for this show, but I'm just saying, it's like one of those things, like, hey, if you really hate your job, like potentially going overseas, I'm pretty sure if like the workers who work there, I don't think that they would sell their own company overseas. Like I'm pretty sure if they were in charge of a decision like that, don't think they'd do it. But who am I to say? Who are we to say, Tim? We're just two working class leftists trying to comment on a premium HBO series. about people who would not want us within their within any range within a rock being thrown. So or a gun being fired.
Yeah. The kids are just all fucking broken people. They are just like constantly lashing out at like everyone around them. Like Shiv is lashing out at Tom, being like, "Do you want to maneuver my dead fucking dad?" And then there's kind of a moment of like everyone is just like, "Whoa."
Like you have a little bit of resentment there, Shiv. Like you're getting a little ugly here, which is so contradictory because like she's always kind of been used in that ATN family as in like you're the softer face on these things.
Yeah.
On like you're not as harsh as, but she still is like as much of a fucking bastard as the rest of her siblings, like just as much if not more.
She really is, yeah, and like, yeah, exactly. She's just as much of a bastard. She's also just as much of an incompetent as like all of her brothers, I think, as well. Like we have no evidence that she was actually a good political operative ever.
Oh, from everything from how she lost her job as a political operative, all she did was fuck it up because of her own emotions.
Yeah.
Like it was literally like telling her advice. It was literally telling her candidate, like, "Oh, like you listen to me." And he's like, "Yeah, I expect you to fight me on that." He's like, "No, I mean, I got shit to worry about. Like it's your job to tell me what the best path forward is." She's like, "Well, I don't think I could do this here." He's like, "Okay, I think you're too close to your fucking father's network."
Yeah.
Bye.
Because her advice was like, "Don't be so mean to billionaires," which is like terrible advice when you're talking Democratic primary politics. Like,
well, on one side of the Democratic politics, yeah, but the side that their candidate, the Bernie Sanders walk in, that would not have been a good. I mean, honestly, that's what also killed Bernie Sanders too, is saying that like, no, well, Joe Biden is like my good friend. I love all the fuck shit that he does. Like, I'd still vote for him with all the fuck shit. And it's like, nah, dude, we don't need you saying that, dude. Like,
yeah,
whatever advisor was telling him that should have been fired. Like,
no, it's a whole thing of like, yeah, in a way, liberals are just consistently too nice, both to each other and to the other side. It's been I've been like listening to a podcast about the Supreme Court, and it's like one theme they constantly come to is that like liberal justices on the Supreme Court always just take the ludicrous, clearly partisan arguments of their right-wing counterparts at face value.
Yep. Yeah, and but I also noticed they have absolutely no problem at all smearing leftists like you and me. They pretty much consider us to be like Republicans, which is like completely fucked because like
I have them. Oh yeah, no, like yeah.
Which honestly makes me hate them more. Like it makes me hate them. Like I have a more burning hatred.
Yeah, to these neoliberals, like you and I are the same as like the actual fascists on the far right. They're like, man, people on the far right and the far left are just both too crazy. And it's like, we want universal health care and sensible taxes on billionaires. They want to like overthrow the government and like ban trans people from existing. And like to you, those are like the same policies.
Yeah, like completely fucking different. And we can get in. Yeah, that's for another podcast.
It's like you haven't. Yeah, it's like they haven't even heard like some of the shit you and I have talked about in private. Like,
which and honestly, I'm not
like just us saying we want universal health care to them makes us like radical lunatics. Like they haven't even heard some of the shit we say when we're not on microphone.
Right, like you know, like, and it's. Even shit we're willing to say on microphone, like it's like, oh yeah, ending homelessness. All those homeless people you ignore every day that are like suffering in the streets. People who are like screaming in LA, like to themselves, on the piers. It's like, yeah, you could actually give them a house and medication and help, and actually like at the cost of a taxpayer, actually put their life on track and make society better. But they're not interested in that because that'd be a handout.
It would be.
Yeah. We're digressing away from the
episode. Yeah, we are digressing from we get Willa and Connor in an absolutely lovely scene. I like Willa a lot. She's just real as fuck.
The actor playing her too. I get her a by name shout out real quick. What was the name? Justine Loop. Justine Lupe, or Justine Lupe or Justine Lupe. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing either one of those, or both. But no, she does a great job. Her genuine reactions, especially, oh my god, and especially within a moment like this where she actually gets to be genuine to Connor, where she actually feels some sympathy. Like, and one of the few times she does, because most of the time this woman is so good at playing being annoyed by this guy that she has to hang around.
But then she's able to switch to being like, no, I actually. She didn't even come out and say like, I like you. She certainly doesn't say I love you. She says, I am happy being by your side. Like, I am happy. I'm not going to walk out on you today.
Not today.
Not today.
Maybe once that maybe when, like, you know, once they're married and there's no prenup, which I don't expect there's going to be a prenup. Like, I think Will's a bit smarter than that. I hope she is. I want her to come out on top. I
do too. I really do. I want her to end up with some millions in her bank account.
Yeah. Shit too, and this is going to make an exciting election coming up too.
Yeah. These next 7 episodes are going to be wild.
Oh, and it's sad too because, well, it's not sad, but it's in terms of the, like, I mean, do you have anything on the internal planning of like what actually got? Because I as far as anything being set in stone, I didn't really quite see anything. I saw like there, like, you know, in terms of like, you know, between like, you know, when Logan had died and the plane had landed, they were trying to investigate like what was going on the ground. Like the people on the plane had already started hearing about like there's rumors on the ground that Logan is dead. Yeah. And we know it didn't come from the siblings. The siblings are keeping this relatively close to the chest.
Oh yeah, absolutely locked up tight. Yeah, I think Greg leaked it. I think it was starting to get out there. Yeah, and then like that, there's a whole conversation between the kids on the boat where they're kind of like, well, how long can we delay this? How long can we keep this locked up tight? And then Kendall, quite rightly, is like, no, guys, people are going to be looking at this.
We need
Wall Street is going to be looking at this. The SEC is going to look at this. The Senate Finance Committee is going to be looking at this. Everything we do is going to be watched, and everything we do right now will always be what we did the day our dad died.
So grieve, but pull yourself together.
Yeah,
because we have an empire to try and preserve for ourselves.
Yeah,
to attempt. And another big shame, because I know you've touched on like how they're all Nepa babies and they're like failures in their own right. And what makes this so tragic too is that like you've seen moments of each of these people where they do shine at something a little bit, where it's like there's a glimmer of like, you know, no, Roman, you could be good in like in some sort of entertainment industry. He
knows what people like.
Right.
He knows what people like. Yeah.
If you were just like out of that Nepo bubble where like you wanted to be up here and like you weren't just comfortable just like being here and going in that direction and getting better at something else that like is more meant for you, as opposed to just trying to be someone you're not, which is your father. And
yeah,
you know, it would never be anything like that. Like I think Shiv could be good at other things too if she had tried to, but she wanted to pursue politics, which she honestly like don't know much about. Like she ain't suited for it. And Kendall trying to be straight up his dad when he's like, no, like I don't even know like what Kendall's role would be. It's that like, well, no, like he seems like a different type of person where it's like it seems like there's too much pressure on him to do this type of job. And he seems like he needs something a little bit less stressful, which I mean, there's positions for all these people in society. It's just that like where they're born into and essentially capitalism is making them into the people that they're not. And it's bad for them. It's bad for society.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Yeah. In a way, like someone on one of the podcasts I listened to made a good observation that I like, because, the showrunner of this show, what's his fucking name?
The showrunner.
Jesse Armstrong. Yeah. So yeah, I guess the Wikipedia even satirical black comedy / drama, and that's Jesse Armstrong's background is British comedy, and someone was like, "Yes, this is a show on HBO, an hour-long show on HBO, so everyone just considers it as a prestige drama." But the guy running the thing is a British socialist comedian who just has like a black as night sense of humor and absolute contempt for like all the characters in his own show. And so like I don't think the show is going to come around to the ending. I think a lot of people think it's going to. Like this is definitely not going to be like a Dexter situation where like the showrunners are too in love with their own character to actually let him suffer any consequences. It's not going to be like a Mad Men ending where it ends with like nope, it turns out Dom Draper is just good at his job to the very end. Like no, this is all going to end spectacularly bad for pretty much everyone involved, I reckon. It's kind of like these like Always Sunny. Like all of those characters are just like fundamentally bad, incompetent people, and like they are never allowed to like actually be good or successful at anything because that would kind of like ruin the core premise of the show.
Yeah,
and I feel like Succession is doing the same thing, just like behind the veneer of like the same kind of like prestige drama populated by anti-heroes that we've been watching since like The Sopranos came out. In 99.
But they're gonna I see what you mean, Tim. Like I think they're gonna make them ultimately pay the piper. But I mean, I think what kind of illustrates that too is just how they react when they get up to the press actually, and like versus that like
right, which is honestly like a great moment for Shiv. Her statement is pretty perfect. And it totally despite what Carolyn was saying, like it does not mention the corpos at all. It just says America lost a great man and he left behind a great legacy and a great family company. And then when asked, what are your plans? She just said, we are going to be here.
We're going to be involved. Yeah.
We're going to be involved.
Yeah. And they just had to walk away. And it is like, it is a strange, like, fitting last words thing. And I think they're all going to remember.
Yeah.
They're all going to remember like what Logan said to them, that he loves them, but they're unserious. They're going to remember what they couldn't say to him. They're going to remember what their last words actually were to him. And I think that's all going to affect them very deeply going forward.
Yeah. And we see some moments like Shiv collapses into Tom's arms after she gives that statement. And then the two of them leave together.
Yep.
Which is something to keep an eye on as the show plays out.
Yep.
Roman goes off to like actually see his dad's body. And then the last shot of the episode is just Jeremy Strong. Because like, yes, Brian Cox is gone, but this show still has some huge fucking hitters. And so the last shot of this episode is just a close up on Jeremy Strong fucking putting in work with just his face in a way that like the great film actors can do.
Yeah. Like, yeah. Like straight up, man. Straight up. And that's what surprised me about my coworker telling me about like, I'm not, it's risky to kill off a character like that. And
it is risky.
It is.
It is risky, but like
when you have a solid core cast like that.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, man. And that's I'm just so amazed. I'm so happy for all these people where it's like, I mean, yeah, they're already on like a premium HBO series, but like they're fucking killing it. Like they really are. I am so stoked to see like just what they bring to their characters.
Yeah.
Each of them. Like I'm already excited enough just with that. Like I could give a fuck like it is kind of hard to think about because it's like, I know they're not going to do the Game of Thrones the Game of Thrones thing and just like throw other ending aside, especially when they're doing shit like this and there's like so much care and thought and attention to all these characters. Like it's very different than like the seventh season of Game of Thrones, this fourth season of Succession.
Yeah, I am fascinated, like because you kind of heard that like people weren't sure. They like people have talked about they weren't sure that the show was ending until they kind of got to the end of filming, which in the context of like this is the third episode,
yeah,
and you're filming Logan dying.
Yeah.
So it's like people still weren't sure. Like people on in the cast, I think Sarah Snook has talked about like she didn't know for sure the show was ending until she got the script for the last episode. So I'm very curious to see how things go from here.
Yeah, me too. It is. It's a lot to look forward to. It's going to be a shame. And much like seeing Brian Cox leave this show, it's going to be a shame to see the show end and know that there won't be any more Succession to look forward to.
Yeah.
But it will be good to know. I mean, I'm just excited enough as it is to like tell acting friends or people who are really into theater to like recommend this show. Like if you want to see some world-class acting and people who really appreciate acting, this show has it in spades. Like it's hard to compare other shows. The only one I can think of that like is even comparing to me is Better Call Saul. And that we're in terms of just like having a plot that actors can really sink their teeth in and really like dig into like developing their character and keeping it consistent and keeping it true and knowing that there's this synergy between the writers and the actors and what and just seeing like how they've advanced this like from the start of it, like even like the little Jerry and Roman little
there's a
love
scene
story
between Jerry and Roman where like Roman after they know, there's like where Roman and Jerry are in the room together alone, and Roman is just like, I'm really sad right now. I'm really sad. I'm sad. And Jerry's just like, I do not give a fuck.
Yeah. I don't care. I don't care. And it's such a big juxtaposition from like where they were earlier in the series where he was like, she was his like punishing mama.
Yeah.
That he never really.
I always feel like Jerry was always just trying to use that to like every angle she could.
Oh, for sure. For sure. She's stone cold with it. But that only came around because the writers noticed the chemistry between those.
Yeah.
And they thought like, let's play into this a little bit. And they ended up creating this plot line that like I think it's gonna impact like the rest of the series. I feel like it's gonna really impact this ending.
Oh, there's so many. Did you watch there was like a what's next, what's ahead on Succession? Yeah, like they had like a whole reel showing like a whole reel for like the rest of the season that had a lot of exciting stuff in it.
Yeah, I didn't get to. I think I was a little too taken aback by like what I just saw. I'm a little stoked. If you see it and you want to share it, you go right ahead. We're already like, we're running this at an hour and a half. So I mean, we're jumping into this.
Yeah, actually, I will just. Oh, my internet's not cooperating.
His internet isn't cooperating because they don't want us to show what's really going on. Okay. They don't want us to show. Yeah, no, they want you to pay for HBO Max. They want you to do it all. I give a shout out. I'd like to take this opportunity while Tim is looking to give a shout out to James Kunka.
Yes, that's something we've been very bad about
lately.
Thank you to James Kunka for the use of our theme song. Thank you to Jennifer Munch for designing our logo.
I'm gonna show it in the back quick. Yeah, the sickle, a government building, and Greek design government building.
Actually, here I got a better link for that.
Okay. And the red fist, the red salute.
The red salute. Jennifer Munch, in truth, one of the most conservative people I'm like actually friends with, but she did not hesitate at all when I was like, draw us a sick ass leftist logo. And she was
she absolutely killed it with this, and like God love, and honestly, I love people of all different political stripes like jumping in to like collaborate, because ultimately it's people she's a working class person like us too, and like she just collaborated with us to like make a little something beautiful that we couldn't do ourselves. At least not to the level that she could. So, yeah. Love you, Jennifer, much. And love you, James Kunka, who is more or less kind of like us.
Yeah.
but yeah, we love all our working class comrades. We love all our working class our working class folks, wherever they are on the spectrum, because we just haven't gotten them to be leftists yet. We're working on it though.
We are working on it.
We are working on it. I mean, hey, like, you know, a little bit's a little bit. Like, hey, voting for Tony Evers and Mandela Barnes, that's already like, hey,
yeah,
hey, that's already a step in the right direction.
All right, so do we want to just go out on playing this trailer?
Yeah, let's go out. Yeah, we can go out and playing the trailer. And do you want me to play the outro music?
No, let's just go out playing the trailer. We can
Okay.
we can switch things up.
You got it, homies.
So I think that's all for us. Until next time, keep working.
Keep on working. Boop. Boop. Boop.
Whoop, whoop,
And
whoop.
you will keep on working.
Keep on working.
And while I share my right screen.
The joys of live streaming.
Knocked out. I didn't sleep.
Yeah, I'm fine. I just didn't see it coming.
For some of us, it's a sad day, but for others, it's Coronation Demolition Derby.
Hey guys,
I
it's great that we can all, the family, can support each other and stay strong through this.
Yeah.
Thanks, Greg.
I'm sad. And just thinking about how things will shake down.
One of these.
Yeah, Greg.
The kids are not equipped to take on the role.
Who's gonna fire half that room? Who would we prefer, one of us or one of the old guard?
If there's a ring, my hat's in.
The negative case would go, you are a clumsy interloper and no one trusts you. The only guy pulling for you is dead. You're just married to the ex-boss's daughter and she doesn't even like you.
Jesus, Carl.
That's how the naysayers might frame it.
You have to trust each other.
And what about me? Go on, lie to me. I got a lot of options.
We're not sure about the deal. You don't understand what you're buying. This trusted brand.
You call it a trusted brand? This is a parts shop. Good parts, bad brand.
We are days out from the very historic election.
Seen the polling today?
In Alaska, I'm exploding.
Macon's team, they want to know if you might drop out.
Of the election? Why on earth would I want to do that?
For the good of the Republic.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I know what you're thinking. How are we going to cope without the king, right?
My sister's fucked up.
Tom, I did a number on you. I twisted your heart right up.
Brother's a mess.
You have no idea the things I'm doing.
And I'm gone. You are not good at your job.
We are over.
We have to guide this company.
If it feels scary, it's because the potential is scary.
Let the games begin.
I'm stoked.
I can't wait.
All right,
All right.
folks. Well, until
All
next
right.
time, keep on working.
Keep on working.